Do you have a slow website? Are your image file sizes gigantic? Do you know the size of your image files? Those two things could be related. Three things. Images with smaller file sizes load faster. Images with larger file sizes load slower. There are things you can do to make image files smaller, like reducing the resolution or compressing them. But not all images are created equal in that regard. Some are more easily compressible than others. And if you are choosing or taking images for a website and you want the website to be fast, then you want to choose images that are more easily compressible when possible. I'm going to explain how I think about it so that I can choose images that are more easily compressible so they have smaller file sizes so they load faster. This is not actually how image compression works in practice. That's above my pay grade. But this is how I think about it so that I can easily tell. I don't have to, say download two images and compress them both and compare. I can just visually look at it and say that's going to be small, that's going to be big. So let's start with an image is a matrix of pixels, a grid of pixels. If you zoom way in, you could see it's a grid. Each of these pixels has data associated with it. Say an RGB color or RGBA if the file format allows for transparency. So PNG, WebP, AVIF. Again, I'm not entirely sure that that's how an image file works, but uh, it's not too far off if that's not it. The more pixels there are, the more data there is, the larger the file size. So if I resized this image to a higher resolution, the file size would get larger. If I reduced the resolution, the file size would get smaller. But in most circumstances, you're somewhat limited in how you can adjust the resolution. That's where compression comes in. It takes the file and does some fancy technological stuff and reduces the amount of data required to be stored at the expense of quality. The more compressed an image is, the lower the quality. It'll look pixelated or blotchy. Newer image file formats like WebP and AVIF are able to be compressed more, or they're able to be compressed more while losing less quality. So that's why if you see recommendations to start using WebP images, that's why. Uh, what I'm talking about here applies regardless of the image file format: JPEG, PNG, WebP, AVIF, whatever you have. This mental model can still apply. If there are large spaces with pixels that are similar to each other, then the image is easily compressible. If there are large areas where pixels are different from one another, then it is harder to compress. The file size will not be able to compress down as small. So let's zoom way in here. And if you look at this proportion, these pixels are nearly all the same. So they could be all combined, kinda, into one big pixel, or you could store the data for one and just the locations of the other and say, apply this to all of these. Again, this is not how it works. This is how I think about it. Whenever you zoom way in down here, you just can't do that. Every single pixel in this little square is different from the one next to it. And so you need to store all of the data for all of these pixels. I will demonstrate. So let's take a slice of this image that is 300 pixels tall. Maybe. There we go. And we're going to crop that. We're going to save it as wheat sky. Save. So at 90% compression, this 1280 by 300 image is 39.7 kilobytes. Let's go back. Let's take a slice off the bottom. 300. There we go. Oh, I got it right on that time. Crop. We'll save it as just wheat. At 90% compression, this one, same resolution, 1280 by 300, comes out to 221.6 kilobytes. Through the magic of television, I already have us calculated here. 5.58 times larger. So, if load time is proportional to file size, which I don't know if it's proportional, but larger files take longer to load. The other photo, the sky photo, will take it'll load about 5 times faster. So, if I'm given the choice between two images, say I'm choosing the hero image for my website, which is critical for loading time. If I have a choice between this, and both provide the same amount of value, I would prefer to choose this one. I would like every image on my site to be under 250 kilobytes. If there's a scenario where you need a very large image or very detailed image and you just can't avoid it, then that's okay. That's a sacrifice that you have to make. But if you're just kind of choosing images for a blog that are, call them atmosphere, just to make it so it's not a big wall of text, you'd prefer to choose images that are easily compressible. A practical application of this is if you are taking images, if you are shooting product images for your site, for your catalog, you would prefer a background that's not as busy. So this is busy, this is not busy. If I shoot all of my product photos with a busy background, they will all be difficult to compress, and I'm going to have large files all across my site. It's going to be slow to load. This is a product photo from one of my clients. I love Ben. He does incredible work, but I'm going to pick on him for a second. This is one of his product photos. It looks really cool. So hard to compress. These file sizes end up huge, and there's just not really anything that could be done about it because this background is so busy and hard to compress. If you end up doing this across your whole site, it can be very hard to come back. Reshoot your whole catalog. Uh, Go to Sticks and Stones Jewelry if you want an heirloom, not just a piece of jewelry. Ben does amazing things with natural materials, all handmade. So, if you want a faster website, you need to choose images with smaller file sizes. When you're choosing images, you want to choose images that are less busy, more similar colors, large areas of similar colors. And you can see these clouds are still pretty busy, but they are similar in color. If you zoom way in, there's these splotches of similar area, whereas this busy is a different type of busy. It doesn't. There's not these large splotches. Even the dark splotches still have a lot of variation in their pixels. Uh, so again, this is not literally how image compression works. It's a pretty complicated uh, thing. You don't need to know how it works. You just need to know how to use it. That's called abstraction. Uh, so that's everything. If you don't want to deal with this, and you just want your site to be faster, or you want someone to just tell you what's wrong all across your site, I can do that for you.